Hey guys, Chace Crawford here from The Boys, Season 3. Do not watch this interview if you have not seen Episode 3 yet. Trust me.
That moment when they show her at the pageant is really important because, you know, obviously Starlight was raised by a single mother, and that single mother was a stage mom. And, you know, there's one thing, you know, you can teach your child grit, but you can tell that her mother pushed her so far. You can tell her mother was living vicariously through her, and as a result, just pushed her too far. And so I do think, in a way, it has conditioned Starlight and taught her to really withstand adversity and really suck it up beyond what, to a point that is beyond, you know, what others would suck it up to. But I think it really informs you about the Starlight we now know.
Strength, done being persecuted for my strength. Persecuted for my strength. Persecuted. You're out!
Initially, I was like, well, why is he going to be naked? And then I was like, well, no, you know, I think you strip the character bare. I think that's like, you know, it's representing how vulnerable, exposed, and he's just kind of given it up. Like, he's dropped all the mask, all the facade is gone, just sitting there watching on repeat his mistake, and festering on it. You know, did I do the right thing? What have I done? What have I done? How do I get out of it? I've ruined everything. And then, of course, in that scene with Ashley, played by Colby Minfie, amazingly, she reveals that actually that truth bomb has helped pick up his ratings. So he learned something extremely valuable for the rest of the season in that moment, that, you know, there's this whole new way he can be, which is echoes of Stormfront as well. She's always said, I think the quote was, you know, you don't need millions of fans, you need a small army that will die for you, or something like that. And I think he learns that in that moment, that the honest version of him is what the masses want, and that's sets his trajectory for the rest of the season.
Sorry if Yevgeny got a little rough. He's still a bit bitter. You ate his wife saying this.
Why am I here, Nino?
It's interesting. Little Nina is a good example of how, you know, we'll come up with a character story and then reach for, you know, characters or elements from Garth's work that we really love. And, you know, Little Nina is an amazing character from the comics. And what it came from was, this year we really wanted to get into Frenchie's past. We knew we needed, like, a crime boss. And so that's how it starts. It's like, okay, well, there's obviously someone who was hiring him to do all these things. So who hired him and who were they? And then someone in the room pitched, like, well, what about Little Nina? And we're like, oh, that's great. What a great way to tie her in. And so then it became the Russian mob, and, you know, and then it worked out in terms of, you know, you'll see in the next episode, there's some Russia happening. And so it all kind of folded together. No, I'm not particularly surprised when we sort of randomly, inadvertently end up talking about something that's, like, you know, current in the news. I'm getting a little worried that we're Satan's writer's room. You know, like, getting a little scared about that, maybe. But no, it just keeps happening. We keep writing stuff, and then, like, a year and a half later, it's current just as the show is dropping. So be very wary about what we're writing if there's a season 4.
I was so lonely on Season 2. No, it was great. Yeah, I was hoping it would come around, because I love working with Antony and the rest of the superheroes, Aaron and everyone else. But yeah, it was good. It was a long time coming. It was nice to have scenes with him again. Yeah.
I find that the story sort of reveals when you should start using, you know, heroes. And it really came this season from, we needed, like, quite a lot of new heroes, because we needed a whole other super team that Soldier Boy was leading, that was sort of the 7 before the 7. it's a story of like what unfettered access and enabling turns you into. And so I think Payback are just a huge group of douche nozzles. And I think the Seven are too. I can't remember who had the idea of Black Noir being a member of Payback. It sort of just evolved out of the room. It came from, in a lot of ways, we wanted to start exploring Black Noir's backstory, and we wanted to be able to fold that story in, but it's hard to just cut to flashbacks of a guy who's silent and can't communicate, like not super easy. So the notion of like tying him into that team and giving him a history with Soldier Boy felt like a really interesting way to kind of like deepen that story and deepen that mystery. And you know, in many ways, episode 3 is Black Noir's origin story as much as it is anything else.
I remember reading episode 3, and there was a particular scene with the Deep and a little octopus called Timothy. And I read it, and I was like, wow, what is going on here? By chance, I had just seen My Octopus Teacher, and I emailed Eric. I was like, you know, I've just watched My Octopus Teacher, and all I can think about is the Deep, because I've just read episode 3 as well. And I just got this note back from Eric going, yeah, in all honesty, that was the inspiration for the entire thing.
And Kripke, to his credit, yeah, it's always like the more absurd, he's always like, listen, the more absurd it's going to be, the more you need to just connect and be as, you know, as subtle as possible, basically. Like there's, you know, we were trying not to push anything, and he's like, you know, you're in love with this octopus. This is a serious relationship. You know, so we did try and play it like it was the mistress, and you know, they're a normal couple, you know, having some sexual issues, and he wants to you know, spice up the relationship by sort of bringing this into it. And yeah, I mean, I think you know, it was hard not to laugh when you literally pull him out of the tank next to the bed. I mean, that was ridiculous. In like my Little Mermaid room, it was great.
So Homelander arranges this dinner for the Deep, a welcome back dinner, because he lets him back in the Seven. And the Deep's thrilled, and he takes his Lady Macbeth wife, and we have this dinner, this bizarre dinner with Homelander, Ashley, Deep, and Deep's wife. And Homelander selects the food for everyone, and as you know, the host with the most presents it, and it's all seafood, with a special dish for the Deep, which is revealed to be his lover, Timothy, which is a bit of a shock for the Deep. And then, of course, he forces him to eat Timothy.
Oh, they made it feel very real. I mean, it was all, I think Colby is vegan, so they made everything like vegan somehow. But some of the legs of Timothy were like mochi, like you know, like mochi, you know. So that was that. There's like 3 different parts to it, but the main biting down part was like syrup and something else. It was disgusting. But yeah, it was palatable. It was okay.
Come on, it's time we let the world know. Yeah. Everybody, Starlight and I are in love. Hashtag Homelight.
Yeah, the moment when Homelander surprises Starlight in American Hero and just grabs her and kisses her, and you can see her in her face. Poor little Annie is just freaking out. And then they have to do take 2, and she clenches her fist up and, you know, goes back to her little pageant days and just grits her teeth and bears through it.
But funny story, when we did do the tick again during the American Hero contest and I dug my hands, the director kept saying, okay, I need you to dig them more and more and more. And he did a close-up of my hand, and everyone was laughing because they could see my face, and I was digging my nails into my hands so much that I think it broke the skin.
The details of the Homelander-Maeve relationship are sketchy, but it was definitely not a pleasant experience for Maeve. And it's alluded to, you know, Homelander makes it very clear her being in relationship with him is not going to be a safe place for her. He would be the worst boyfriend ever, and Starlight starts finding that out. And it's, I mean, we had so much fun doing it as well because Erin's so great to work with.
And I think we all know or maybe can assume that she's not going to engage in a relationship with Homelander. I mean, she's really in love with Huey and she's committed to him, but I think that moment, I think she sees that moment as him challenging her and saying, if you want to play this game and be my co-captain, you're going to have to meet me here. And I think that that Starlight kissing Homelander is her showing to him, I'm going to meet your challenge. I'm going to show you that two can play at this game.
Annie has a really interesting story this year, and it's complicated because she deserves the power that she's getting, right? But by the same respect, it's ultimately an impossible situation.
She plays along with, and I think it's really a matter of showing him that he can't sway her. I think she needs him to understand that she's not yet lost her power to him, so she kisses him to play the game.
I mean, it just becomes a waking nightmare for her.
This man she has to stand next to is so toxic and fragile. That's the thing about Homelander that I always think is so interesting. He's by a mile the weakest character in the show. And he just cannot handle any sharing of power with her, with Annie, with any woman. And he just melts and he becomes so psychotic that it becomes a really untenable position for her.